All right. So last week I asked a whole lot of people on Facebook what backpack they recommended. Basically, the backpack that I've been using for the past, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years. Finally, the zipper was going bad on it, and it just seemed about time to get rid of it. It wasn't really suiting my needs. The main compartment was a little too small for some of these trips that I'm doing for work and such, and I decided it was time to get a replacement. Literally, like over 100 people or so chimed in on what they loved, what they didn't love. People recommended all sorts of brands. I will say the e-bags, slim, professional, slim, junior bag. That seemed by far the most popular one with a lot of people I trust recommending it. And I came about this close to purchasing that one. The idea being it had a lot of different storage options, but at the same time was relatively slim. So not a big main pocket, but a lot of places for like chargers, USB stuff, and da-da-da-da-da. So I almost got that one. I also spent a lot of time looking for smart backpacks, wondering if there was something else out there. And I'll be honest, right now, the state of smart backpacks really kind of comes down to three things. One is backpacks that have batteries built into them, but I don't know if you've been to an airport lately. Airlines are kind of pushing back on those a little bit. There are some issues around there, and plus the one that I just am replacing had one of those, and I didn't really use that element of it as often as I thought I would. Two, smart, tracking of it. Something like a tile in it, so if it's far away from you, you can tell where it is. Reality is, my backpack, it's right there with me. I don't leave it in other places. I don't check it underneath the plane. Didn't need to worry about that. The third one is security, where it would have some sort of a lock that could only be undone with your phone or with your fingerprint or something like that. But I've seen issues with those as well that had no appeal to me. So smart backpacks were kind of out. There was one backpack that I thought was kind of cool. It had like a little Iron Man style sensor on it that you could control with your phone and like have it say messages or do emojis or something like that. But I mean, let's face it, that's a gimmick. If I really want to do that kind of a gimmick, I'll make it myself. No big deal, right? So with that in mind, I kind of started making a mental list of the things I was looking for in a backpack. Obviously, it had to hold a laptop and do that well. Had to have plenty of storage space for those little miscellaneous techie type things, dongles and USB drives, and maybe an iPhone stand for the airplane or those kinds of things. But the other thing that I remember was one. When I'm doing presentations on 3D printing, I carry around like this big giant skull and a whole bunch of little artifact-y type things to show people, some hands-on stuff. And I really can't fit all of those in my current backpack, so I wind up walking around with the skull in my hand the whole time, which is kind of annoying. And two, there are plenty of times where I'm going on just an overnight trip, and I still wind up having to carry a carry-on bag because I can't fit my DOP kit and a change of clothes and whatever else, shoes and so on, in the current bag. So I thought what I'd really love is something that's relatively slim, but maybe could expand in some way. And what I finally settled on was this one. The brand is called Nomatic. They were originally a Kickstarter. Their big product was this one called a travel bag. It was basically a duffel bag that got phenomenal reviews. It sold millions of dollars, did really well. Then they came out with, more recently, two similar bags. A backpack, which was intended to be used just as a backpack, and a day pack is what they called it, or travel pack. The travel pack, which was intended to be used for trips of around 1 to 3 days. Now, the interesting thing about it is both the backpack and the travel pack clock in at exactly the same width, exactly the same volume, which I believe is 20 liters. I believe it's 20 liters initially, but where the backpack has an option to just unzip it from here to here, so it kind of like accordions out just a little bit, increasing it by about 5 liters. The travel pack actually will unzip all the way around and balloon out like a carry-on bag, which actually adds 10 liters to it. There's a little slight difference on the inside, but I wound up going with this one. This is actually the travel pack. And I'll show you some of the things that I like about it. Now, by the way, the outside of it is water resistant in general. In other words, rain ain't gonna bother it. You definitely don't want to go scuba diving with it and so on. The straps have, obviously this little piece so that you can strap it across your chest. And I like the way it kind of stays in spot. You can actually get the waist straps for it as well if you want to. It doesn't come with that. And then over here, I thought this was kind of interesting. There are these snaps, so you can actually take these things and tuck them all in and then re-snap it on either side, which basically kind of turns this into a sort of a briefcase / carry-on without the straps dangling around. I'm not sure whether I'm ever going to really use that or not, but I think it's kind of an interesting idea. And then back here, you've got this one little hidden pocket that, the intended purpose for it is to kind of put documents and such, or your passport in there, and it is lined with something that makes it resistant to RFID scanning and such. Okay, so that's the back of it, the generic part of it, all right? Now, let's go ahead and get into some of the more interesting details here. On top, you've got one of these features I like on any backpack right now, which is just a soft lined pocket to just kind of cram your phone in there, cram your headphones in there when you're about to go through security and such. Just quick and easy, and it is soft lined, so it's not going to damage your screen or anything like that. It also has a pass-through slot, so if you want to have a backup battery on the inside pouch and then just run the cable up to there, you can just plug your phone in and charge it right there with easy access. We'll see whether I actually wind up doing that or not. It has a handle on top, nice angle to it, very, very firm. On the side, it has another handle right over there. On the other side, it has another handle right over there. On the outside, it does have water bottle pockets. Now, I've had water bottle pockets on backpacks, but usually I have to unzip something, pull it out, and then there's like a mesh. These actually have magnets in them. So it's elasticy, so it'll hold some really fat water bottles, and then when you're done with it, you just let go, and it's got some magnets in there to make sure that it's straight. Same thing on the other side, another water bottle pocket with magnets once again. And then that takes us over to the outside pockets. Now the outside pockets for the backpack and for the travel pack are exactly the same. They open up like this, and you can kind of see there is just a bunch of different pouches that are mostly like lay flat. There's a zipper pouch here. This is the one that has the, no, it's not the one that has the password. That's somewhere else. Zipper pouch over there. There's another zipper pouch over here. There's places for pens over here. There's some mesh pockets up there. A couple places to just kind of stick chargers and stuff over here. 4 mesh pockets right over here. This isn't very thick. It isn't very fancy, but at the same time, this is really easy to get to. And while you can just unzip it, halfway and just kind of reach in and grab something, I do like the fact that the zippers go all the way down, so you can really, pop this baby open if you want to, especially for the sake of organization and such. That's it on the outside. Now is where we start to get, it starts to get just a little, actually let me do before I get to the really interesting stuff, I'll show you the laptop area too. It does unzip all the way so it can lay flat. For those of you that travel a lot, that's important just because then you don't need to take your laptop out when you go through security. You can just literally flip it open and run it through like this. Just saves you a little bit of time and effort. Flat pouch over here, I'm assuming that's for papers, documents, magazines, that kind of thing. And then on this side, you've got your Velcro, your tablet pocket for an iPad. It looks large enough for most tablets. I'm not sure whether some of those larger iPad Pros will fit in there, but who knows? I don't have one of those right now anyway. And then over here, another soft line padded laptop pocket. And the one thing I did notice that I kind of like is, if you can see, the laptop pocket goes down to here, not all the way down to the bottom, which means when you set your backpack down on the ground, you're not slamming your laptop into the ground as well. So I do like that. All right, so that is for the laptop area. Now we get into the main compartment, and like I said, that's where it gets a little weird. So you can kind of see over here on the side, the main zipper goes over here at sort of like a curve. And the reason is, it actually, the top kind of loops around. Now actually unboxing this, there's two things inside here. One is a compression cube, and maybe I'll demo that for you or not. I'll see how much time I got. But basically, it's one of those things where you put a whole bunch of clothes in there, and then you zip it up, and it compresses everything down, basically squeezes the air out of it in a sense. It's not a vacuum version of it, but it greatly reduces the size of stuff, so it's just a little bonus, which is kind of nice. And it comes with this, which I think is kind of interesting too. It is a sunglass holder. It is a hard shell sunglass holder. Inside, it actually has a soft case. And the nice thing about it is, my sunglasses, the ones that I use on a daily basis, are Oakley's. These are the Romeo and Juliet's from way back in the day, the X-Metal frames. They're kind of fat. They're kind of long. They don't fit in most sunglass cases, but using this bag, no problem whatsoever getting it in there, and then you drop it into the case, and the case actually closes up all the way. The case itself is hard plastic, is crush proof, and I believe it's supposed to fit into one of these pockets so you can keep your sunglasses with you and not have to worry about them and so on. This is the main compartment. Now, as you notice, once again, it unzips all the way, and you see how it's kind of got these tall sides, but then opens up like this? What that means is, once again, you can kind of just open up the top if you want to and be able to reach in really easily without opening up all the way. You have pockets on the sides here, on the sides there. You have down here on the flip side, same thing. Pocket there, pocket here. Oh, but there's actually something inside this pocket, and it is a, I don't know if you can see this, a key ring on a retractable leash. So if you want to, you can put your keys on there, just reach it out, unlock something, snap it back, and so on. And that may look like it's in an inconvenient place, but it isn't, and we'll get to why in just a minute. On this side, you've got your pouch, your regular battery pouch, your pouch just to keep whatever you want. The reason I said battery pouch is right there is the pass-through up into that soft area. So more than likely, probably keep some sort of a rechargeable battery there, and then just snake the cable over there. Another pouch over here. And then your main area is wide and cavernous, which for me would be perfect for 3D printed skulls and other widgets and toys and that kind of stuff. But what's also kind of interesting is, since this is the travel pack version intended for 1 to 3 day trips, it's got this little mesh divider area. So it's kind of intended for you to keep clothes on one side. Maybe you could keep your dirty clothes down here, your clean clothes on the other side, and this kind of separates one area from another. You don't have to use it, but you can. And then right over here, it's got this big, giant, cavernous pocket. The way they advertise that one is it's for your shoes. So if your shoes are a little dirty, a little muddy, you keep those in that pocket separate from everything else. You don't need to worry about everything else getting dirty. Obviously, you can use that pocket for anything else if you want to, or just ignore it entirely. And once again, you've got this big, giant, cavernous area. What else? We've got a few more things to go through still, and that's what's kind of crazy, all right? Now, first of all, along the lines, remember I keep telling you these, it opens up really, really wide. And also, how I said that key leash might be a little bit annoying because, you know, you got your zippers up here, and you're really going to unzip it all the way down there and get your keys out and so on. I thought this bag might have been broken at first because I got all kinds of confused. There's 2 zippers up here for you to open that main compartment. But there's 2 more zippers down here, and the reason is you could actually open it up from the bottom if you want to just open up that little area. So you could actually do it just like this. So you could open it up from this side, you can open it up from this side, or you could open up from top down and lay it out that way. A lot of ways to get to your stuff. So if you have something all the way on the bottom that you need to get to, you don't necessarily need to go through the top. You don't necessarily need to lay it flat. You can just literally open up from here and just get straight down to the bottom. It's kind of nice. However, that's still not the only way to get into that pouch. So there's one last thing that I got to point out to you, and that is this. I don't know if you can really see this so well. There's another zipper right here that goes all the way around and ends right here. This one is the one that will expand the backpack. So I'm unzipping that all the way back around to the very beginning, and now all of a sudden this backpack becomes significantly larger. You know what I mean? Like I said, it adds about another 30% to the space, which is kind of cool by itself. So now all of a sudden you've got a lot more space. But what's also interesting is the intention is you may wind up using this somewhat like a carry-on bag. And if you do, they've got another set of zippers that gets revealed over here that was covered up by the compression part. If you undo this zipper, this is sort of like a hidden zipper. Well, now all of a sudden, this bag opens up this way like a carry-on. There's the shoe section. There's the other mesh section. You can kind of see how much space there is between the mesh and that. And now all of a sudden, you can kind of treat it as a true carry-on bag. And you open it up the same way you would any other carry-on. It's kind of neat. I mean, I don't know how often I would need this many ways to get into the same bag, but I guess depending on how you're using it, it makes sense. That way you can actually open it up and pack it without necessarily having to go top down and such. All right, there is my alarm. Alexa, trigger the alarm off. Or off?
Sorry.
Alexa, turn off the alarm. Sorry about that. That's about it. I think there was one last thing I wanted to show you, and I can't remember where it was. It's got to be right over here somewhere. Where is it? Somewhere in here, and I'm not finding it for some reason. There's this one right here. This little pocket, I forgot about that. If you open up this pocket right here, it is also kind of neat because it came with a little TSA style lock. So if you want to put some, once again, passport, cash, traveler's checks, if anybody uses those anymore, and so on, into a pocket. I guess you could use this to zip to lock any of the zippers if you want to. Almost all of them have those little circles so that you can lock them up. But it comes with the TSA one. So it comes with the compression cube. It comes with the sunglass box. It comes with the lock. Those are all little bonuses. Those aren't why you necessarily buy a bag, but it's handy. You know what I mean? And the net result is, while it's definitely big enough to take on a 3-day trip and pack up, shoes, dop kit, and everything else that goes along with it, when you take the compression part out of it, or at least the expandable part out of it, and just zip that part closed, the net result is a bag that's not really that much larger than a normal backpack. So this backpack wasn't recommended by anyone who chimed in. I found this one while spending way too much time researching backpacks. The backpack itself, I actually wound up buying it off of Amazon. Cost is around $200, which, yes, is expensive for a backpack, but I think the quality is there, the extras are there, and not only that, I think it's going to work really well for me for the short-term travel, which, let's be honest, the bulk of my travel is going to a conference for 1, 2, 3 days at a time. I think this may be able to make it so that I don't necessarily need to carry a separate carry-on and just get down to one bag. If I do still want to carry a carry-on, it does have that little pass-through thing so that you can connect it or slide it onto a traditional carry-on bag, which is nice, but you don't necessarily need to. You might be able to get away without it. So that is the Nomatic, N-O-M-A-T-I-C, I'll link over there as well in the video, the Nomadic travel pack. Like I said, it's the same size as the backpack. Most of it is the same. The only difference is the backpack only expands on the bottom and gives you an extra 5 liters instead of 10 liters, and the instead of having that mesh divider in there and the shoe area in there, it has a bunch of inserts. So you can have an insert for cables, an insert for documents, an insert for papers, and then you can just Velcro those kinds of things in and out. I don't know. This one seemed like a better match for me. So that's about it. Thanks for hanging out. If you have any other questions, let me know, and I will let you know in a few months whether this was a colossal waste of money or whether this is the greatest backpack I've ever seen. Take care, everyone.